The opinions expressed in this program reflect only those of the participants and are not necessarily those of the sponsors, management, or staff of WTBQ Radio or FST Broadcasting Corporation.
WTBQ.
Good morning. You are listening to the Nonprofit Notebook. I am so excited for this show today. I am Anquinette Hayles, Advancement Consultant with Greystone Programs. And this morning I have with me
Russell Moss, General Manager for Milea Estate Vineyard.
So this is pretty exciting to have you on. Milea is doing some wonderful things in the Staatsburg area. Specifically, you've partnered with Greystone Programs for our 31st annual wine showcase and auction event. And so tell us a little bit about what Milea is doing in Staatsburg, New York.
So Milea got its start in 2015, and we are a small direct-to-consumer ultra-premium winery. We focus on making wines in the Hudson Valley and really all over New York.
Mm-hmm.
So we started, the property started in 1984 with Barry Milea. So he and his dad started a truck sales and leasing business in the South Bronx.
Wow.
And they would come up to that area of the Hudson Valley, which is right between Rhinebeck and Hyde Park, to ride horses. And then he also has a house out in the Hamptons. And so in the early 2000s, he got really interested in Long Island wine, and then thought, you know, there should be something like this up in the Hudson Valley as well.
Absolutely.
Someone really pursuing high quality wine and wine experiences. So they planted small vineyards on the original property. And then the wine was really encouraging early on. So they bought an adjoining farm, which increased the property from 25 acres to 109 acres.
Oh my gosh.
Then they planted that in 2017 with about 10 different varieties. Our focus is really Chardonnay, Cabernet Franc, and Central European grapes, which really thrive here in the Hudson Valley. Then in 2018, he called me because I moved from Oregon to New York to teach grape growing at Cornell.
Wow.
Literally, I had just put the phone on the desk and I got a call from him, and he asked me to consult for the property. So while I was teaching at Cornell, I was driving out there consulting, and I saw what was happening and the wine quality. And in 2021, I called him and asked if I could run the business. He said, give me 2 weeks. 4 days later, he called me and said, you should come out here and do this.
Okay. So many things happening.
Yeah.
Talk about vision. Okay. So to do something like what you all are doing, it requires vision, and to each year continuously grow and expand is just commendable, I think. And the Hudson Valley is just such a ripe and prime location to have something like that. So kudos to the founders for seeing the vision. And then you were in Oregon and you came to New York. Why New York? Was it just specifically to teach, or did you have a couple offers? And
it was to work for Cornell. I was living in Oregon. I was managing vineyards for a luxury brand in Oregon, as well as the properties over in Burgundy, France. I have multiple degrees in grape growing and winemaking, so I'm a big nerd.
Yeah.
And so I have a bunch of friends on faculty at Cornell, and a job came up. They called me about it. And so I jumped at it because it's an exciting place to work. And New York is an exciting grape growing and winemaking state with a lot of opportunity for growth and premiumization, which is what I specialize in, premium and luxury wine.
Wow.
So I moved out here in 2018 to do that, and it was a phenomenal time.
Love that. And so you've made the move and you got the offer. It was supposed to take 2 weeks, 4 days. How exciting was that to just kind of pick up and say, I'm going full throttle into this, and I'm going to take the vision and everything that you started and take it to that next level? Because I frequent your social media, and I think it's exciting and it's very on brand, as well as hip with the times. And I noticed that the content is always refreshing. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I don't have any personal social media myself. I'm very terrified of it. So this is my first foray into it.
So if you're listening, you've just heard him say he's terrified by social media, but you have to go check out the Milea content and social media pages, and you're going to see things that's not going to reflect what he just stated about being terrified. So I just want to make sure I point that out.
Yeah, I think when I think about marketing of our brand and our winery, like I said, my whole career has been in luxury and ultra premium wine brands, and they look and feel a certain way. And I think for generations, I'm a millennial, and I think for millennials and for Gen Z, we've largely lost that market as an industry. And so now I'm thinking about our brand and just thinking, like, how can we maintain an elevated approach, because we're certainly intentional in everything that we do, from soil to service.
I like that, from soil to service.
Thank you. I just came up with it. But we're very intentional. And so I keep thinking about how do we really show who we are and be authentic? And really, we are a close-knit family of people. Like, it's a very close group. My best friend is our winemaker. My very close friends are our associate, or our hospitality manager and chef, and Barry Milea and Sang Milea are essentially like family to me. So we're trying to show an authentic self, and we're just a very fun group of people doing a very intentional thing. And so that's kind of, I think, reflected in the way we present on social media.
Yes. Yeah. But also in person, because I've had the opportunity to be to the property, and I've had the opportunity to taste, and it was my first time, and I really enjoyed the experience. And you do get a sense of family, and you get a sense of individuals who appreciate what they do, as well as they can appreciate the brand and also appreciate the wine. And I know that food is not something that you particularly specialize in, but it's something newer that they're offering. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so we're really excited about our culinary program. Yeah. So our chef, David Kim, so he's actually the husband of our hospitality manager, Mina Do, who's spectacular. They're both amazing. But David is a Culinary Institute graduate.
Wow.
And then worked for a Michelin star restaurant in New York City, as well as Mina. Mina worked for many Michelin restaurants in the city. And so his food, I would say, is he's Korean, as well as his wife is Korean, and then Barry Milea's wife is Korean. So we have a pretty massive Korean influence in the business. And so the culinary program is sort of, I'd say, European-Korean fusion, which I think is a really exciting voice within the wine and culinary space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the diversity at Milea was one of the most compelling things for me to move here was, I think it's no secret really that the wine business has been not exactly diverse.
Yes.
But Milea is different. And I think Milea, we always come back to this idea of the New York state of mind. So
I like it.
Barry Milea is from Red Hook, Brooklyn originally, has his business in the South Bronx. And one day I was talking to Barry about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he's like, what is that? So I explained it to him, and he goes, oh, so what I've always been doing
pretty much
in the South Bronx. And so I think that's what's exciting about what we're doing is it's a very inclusive, everybody's there, like so many different kinds of people, and the way that our culinary program, I think, exemplifies that, and that it's Korean. It's not, the wine business is typically, I would say, French dominated. We call it French supremacy, right? And that's really not what we're going for. We're going for a very authentic representation of who we are.
I love that. I also think it's an authentic representation of the Hudson Valley as well. Like being able to bring in, outsiders, but as well as people who are from this area, who know the area, I think is great too. So hearing that just brought a smile to my face because, these are the things that everyone doesn't get to see so much or hear so much about organizations or businesses in the Hudson Valley. And so I think conversations like this are always important, and there will always be a space because the background and the inside scoop is just what really, I think, sometimes sells a brand. And so it's really great to hear and I've seen the property. The property is amazing. I am born and raised in the Hudson Valley, and I've never been up that way, at least for wine. I do frequent a few of the farms for apples or cider or honey. I really like getting my honey local, but I haven't been up to Strathburg for wine. So to visit the property and to have a tasting, I really enjoyed myself. But I think leaving the property, I had to call my dad and I said, I think I may have found a gin that might interest you, because I did do the tasting of the gin, and I'm not a gin girl, and that I'm more of a wine girl. And the gin was amazing.
Thank you.
And we are featuring the gin, I believe, in one of our baskets from Milea. So that's exciting during the auction, the 31st annual Greystone Programs Wine Showcase auction, live auction and silent auction. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. If you're listening, you are listening to the Nonprofit Notebook with special guest Milea Estate Vineyard.
Greystone Programs is a nonprofit human services agency that provides essential services to more than 600 children, adults, and families living with autism and other developmental disabilities. Greystone Programs also provides residential support in a community environment with 17 homes in the Mid-Hudson Valley area. Greystone Programs offers exceptional care and support for a variety of programs and services. To get involved or for more information, visit greystoneprograms.org.
This is Rockin' Richie, the play-by-play guy.
And this is the Goose, your color commentator. The only place you can listen live to Warwick Wildcats football
is right here on WTBQ.
Brought to you in part by the Warwick Valley Dispatch and WVT.
WTBQ.
And we're back. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Nonprofit Notebook. My name is Anquinette Hayles. I am the advancement consultant for Greystone Programs. And with me today, I have a very special guest, and that is
Russell Moss, General Manager for Milea Estate Vineyard.
Yes. And so before we went to break, we were just talking about all of the wonderful things that Milea has to offer and how they've partnered with Greystone Programs for our annual Wine and Showcase live and silent auction that's happening. And we were talking about the gin that I first experienced. And again, I'm not a gin girl. So let's talk a little bit about some of the wines and even this gin that I have come to love.
So the gin is very cool. I'm also not a gin girl. So I wasn't super familiar with gin really before I got to Milea. Milea had already started making gin before I arrived. Mm-hmm. And this style of gin, I'm familiar with gin obviously because I do like hip hop. So Snoop Dogg influenced my taste early on. So of course Tanqueray was featured heavily in my late teens and early 20s. But other than that, I wasn't familiar. And so when I got there, they were making a gin. It's in a Western style. Mm-hmm. So it's not as effusive as something like Tanqueray or like Hendrick's, which I find to be like a little aggressive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it's Chardonnay, as well as what we call piquette, which is a old way of making wine where you kind of reuse the skins. Mm-hmm. And then we make another wine out of the skins. We put it in barrels for about 5-6 months and then distill that with a mixture of botanicals. And it makes this really subtle, elegant style of gin. It's won multiple gold awards on the East Coast and on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So we don't make a lot of it right now, but it is a product that I want to scale over the next few years because I think it's a pretty special gin, and it definitely brought me back into the gin fold. Okay. Yeah.
Brought me in too. Yeah. If you're listening, it brought me in.
And then as far as the wine goes, which is really my specialty.
Yeah, let's hear about the wine.
So the wine, we specialize in Chardonnay and Cabernet Franc, as well as Central European grapes. So the Chardonnays we make in 3 different styles. So if you are someone in the industry, we've had something called the ABC, anything but Chardonnay. And there was definitely an ABC movement where people weren't drinking Chardonnay. We make 3 different styles of Chardonnay at Milea. So if you are one of those people that doesn't drink Chardonnay, come in. We may have something for you.
Okay.
To reintroduce you, bring you back into the fold.
Or you can buy a ticket to our 31st annual wine showcase, and you can potentially bid on a tasting, because that is another offering that we have in the mix of all the wonderful things that we're going to have at the event. So that's another option.
100%. And it's a great way to get to know the wines.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so our Chardonnays, I specialize in Chardonnay. I worked in New Zealand for 6 years, as well as making Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, as well as Oregon and Burgundy. So it's all Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So our styles of Chardonnay are really, I would say, more Burgundian influenced, because that's just what I know how to make. So a lot of minerality, a lot of elegance and nuance and subtlety to the way they're produced. Cabernet Franc in the Hudson Valley is phenomenal. So much power, so much character. Like it's truly the most beautiful Cabernet Franc I've had in the world. And there's just not much acreage here in the Hudson Valley for it. So it's pretty exciting. It's very rare. It's very special. Our Cabernet Franc and our Chardonnay won Best Cabernet Franc and Best Chardonnay in New York State last year. So it's definitely something to come up and try. And we're only going to improve those wines over the next, coming years.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then on the other grapes that we specialize in, so we have Central European grapes. So Central Europe has a similar climate to us. So and also kind of similar soils, like glacially derived soils. So we have Blaufränkisch, which is this special red grape from Austria.
Okay.
And I consider it like the Pinot Noir of Central Europe. It's like brambly, a light red, really complex and fascinating. The reason I think we haven't heard of it largely is because Blaufränkisch, the name itself is challenging. And the synonym for Blaufränkisch is Limburger, which conjures images of stinky cheese. So it's not exactly cute. So it suffers from that. But other than that, it's a really, I think, underrated grape, and something that I'm focused on increasing its production here in New York.
Okay. I see the visions. You got a lot of things coming that we can expect. And so let's say someone's listening to the program and they're like, okay, he's got my attention. He's talking all the things that I want to hear about supporting the Hudson Valley and just everything that you offer in terms of the wines and the grapes, and they want to come up to Milea. And maybe they're not attending our event on October 15th. What are some of the things that are coming up that you have, or could they just stop in? Is there a reservation required? Like, how does everyone get connected?
So we are open Wednesday through Sunday, and you can walk in for tastings. I think a reservation is definitely recommended, especially in the fall during the leaf peeping moment. What an incredible thing that is. So definitely reservations are encouraged. So you can go on our website and reserve online, or just give us a ring, and one of our staff will place that reservation for you. We have seated tastings. You can enjoy wine by the glass, wine by the bottle, as you enjoy the beautiful vista of fall foliage.
Yes, and it is beautiful. Trust me, if you're listening, you have to make your way, even if it's just to see the property. I mean, it's beautiful just to overlook all of the foliage. It's phenomenal. Like I can't. We're going back this week, and I'm looking forward to. I think I'm gonna pack a lunch and like just sit in the grass and look over as we prepare for our event coming up.
And another great way to enjoy Milea, I think, is through the wine club. So it's turned into, when I came to Milea last year, I think we've increased, the wine club is now like 25 times greater.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a big club now. So people are pretty excited about what's going on.
Which is great.
It's really great. And the club is really fun because you get free tastings, you get, discounts on your wines. And then we have club events at least once every quarter. And then as well as like discounts on other events throughout the year. And it's really become a pretty tight-knit community. And we're really working on continuing to foster that sense of community. And we've gotten to know so many people through it. So it's a great opportunity for people who love wine, who love food, and who just like want to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So is it like a subscription kind of service based? Will wines come to the home? Do you get to pick wines up when you just stop in? How does it work?
It's all of those things.
All of those things, really?
So it's a quarterly wine shipment, and people can either have the wines shipped to them wherever they are, or they can come in and pick them up.
Wow.
I think it's more fun to come in and pick it up because we have parties for that, and we bring in bands and other kinds of entertainment. So like just 2 weeks ago, we had our September pickup event, and we brought in a brass band from New York City, which for me was particularly exciting because I'm a trombone player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before I
You're
entered
a jack
wine.
of all trades.
Dilettante, I believe. Yeah, I was a professional trombone player in Los Angeles, and so I brought up a brass band from New York City. So it was a really fun event, and then we're doing our next one in December. So definitely join up for our wine club between now and December, and come to that event because it's going to be thrilling. We have a Middle Eastern band coming in to play music. It's going to be mind-blowing.
It's going to be a mind-blowing time. And you definitely sold me because I'm thinking about all the things that you have to do during the holiday season. And I am so guilty of like a last-minute DIY or crafter. And I'm like, oh, I got to bring a gift. Oh, no. And I'm scrambling. Then I got to give away my favorite bottle of something. But to be a part of the wine club, and then I can go pick it up. I can get off work, go pick it up, and I have my gifts ready to go for the holiday season is the first thing that came to mind when you said you can go in person. But I love, I definitely love the convenience of the doorstep delivery. So that's great. That sounds like a really great wine subscription. So if you're listening and you want to be a part of the club, there is room for you at the table. So be sure to get connected with the Milea Wine Club. So I just want to shift gears for a bit because not only do you have an amazing property and you have an amazing vineyard going on in Staatsburg, but you also offer a bed and breakfast style. I would call it like a getaway. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because that's another auction item that we're going to be featuring at our annual wine and showcase. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the Milea family owns a house that's adjoins the vineyard property. And so it's called the Spencer House. It was built in 1747 by a guy that was the aide-de-camp to George Washington during the Revolutionary War. And he was also a surveyor. He surveyed out west a bit for Washington before he came back and lived out the rest of his days on a farm where we are now.
Yeah.
So Barry Milea bought that property 2 years ago and then renovated it. And I've stayed there.
It's beautiful.
It's spectacular. It's so calming and peaceful. It's a 3-bedroom house. And it's just, I would say it's true to its 1747 origins.
Yes.
But of course elevated to modernity.
Yes, with a little modern style.
Yeah.
Yes,
With heat,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, with heat. Absolutely, that's important.
Yeah. So yeah, that's and I believe we're auctioning off a stay at the Spencer House as part of the Greystone event.
Yes, we are. And we're looking forward to that. And I think it was like a ripple effect via email that someone saw it. And then it was like a mass email that went out to everyone that's helping on the fundraising team. And you have to see this house. And we were all like, oh my God, it's amazing. We got to get it a part of this event that we're doing because it just looks like a great opportunity to experience Milea on another level.
It's wonderful. And like when you come into the house as a guest, you're greeted with Milea wine, which
Of course.
yeah,
Of course.
and then there's also, we put a pool in the back, and it was put into the bedrock, which makes up the soil of Milea Estate Vineyard. It's just sunk into it. It's like its own sort of like cenote. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that, and I love just the variety. So what would you say now that you've been in the Hudson Valley now for how many years?
Just a little over a year.
A little over a year. And so just with everything that you do, what's the best part of your interactions just with the community and just growing the brand of Milea? What's the best part of it all?
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I'm so jazzed up about the Hudson Valley. I think so. I keep coming back to there's the real estate agents, and they also sell home furnishings in Rhinebeck, and they have it. The brand name is Upstate Down, which I think is just the coolest name. And I think of Hudson Valley like Upstate Down. So I know that Hudsonians don't want to call this downstate, but I used to live in it. I know
this is perfect, but it's no one
a dodgy topic.
Right? Very, very sensitive.
But yeah, but that's something like I came from the Finger Lakes.
Yeah,
that's way upstate. And when you come down here, it's a completely different vibe, and it's a very, I think, educated group of people. It's a really interesting group to be around, and I think every time I go places, I meet new, interesting, driven people. There's just a really cool drive in the Hudson Valley. People are leaned into life.
I like that, leaned into life. You have a lot of catchphrases that I have enjoyed during this program. But that's great.
Yeah.
I really like that. So it's I feel like I just want to sit and chat with you more, but this is our time. And before we go, let everyone know how they can stay connected with you. I know you don't have social media, but you have to get connected. So how do they do that?
So we are Milea Estate Winery on Instagram, as well as if you go to mileaestatevineyard.com, you can find us there. And yeah, just give us a Google and come on up.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me today. And as you go into the holiday season, just keep Milea in the back of your mind for all things fall, all things holiday. And if you can't take a tour up there or get up there just to taste some of the wine, make sure you get up there just to take a view of the property. It is beautiful. So again, that's our time. You're listening to the Nonprofit Notebook. My name is Anquinette Hayles, Advancement Consultant for Greystone Programs. And as always, you can reach us at greystoneprograms.org. Have a wonderful day.